elected treasurer together to go to the bank to get cards signed so we can deposit the PTSO money so that we're legal.
Well, you've been operating
Illegally. How's that sound? You gonna report me? And I was gonna say, you're the president, we'll both go to jail. You gonna talk to this guy?
Yeah, till you get
through. Did I recommend him?
Yeah, you recommend him. He's
till you get through. Yeah. I need some of that paper up there.
Well,
That's the only color you got?
No. But if you take any other color, you have to lie.
Well, I want white then.
We had, you know those big chunks of cardboard stuff.
Okay. Let's see. Could you state your full name and how long you've been in Muncie?
Thomas Wesley Hall, Sr. Been in Muncie 55 years.
55 years. And when did you first come to Muncie?
Came to Muncie in 1916.
1916. And where did your parents come from? Did they always live here?
They came from Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Do you have any reasons why they moved here?
They knew people up here.
They knew people up here.
Uh-huh.
And what did your father and mother do?
My father worked at Indiana Steel and Wire. My mother, she was a housekeeper.
She was a housekeeper. And how many was in your family?
One brother and one sister.
A brother and one sister. Mm-hmm. Do you? How many black families were located here in around 1916? You have any idea? 50?
Well, I would say about 800.
About 800.
I'd say that many families here in Whiteley and across town together.
How it was back then, you know, in terms of segregation and jobs? What kind of jobs did most of them have?
Most were factory jobs, and women did housework.
And most of them did housework.
And it was discrimination.
What kind of jobs did you do, and what kind of discrimination you run into when you were young?
Well, I didn't recognize any discrimination until after I got into high school, and played on the football team. And
was that at Muncie Central?
Muncie Central. And I couldn't eat in the restaurants with the other players.
You went out of town, you couldn't eat?
That's right.
What did you do?
Well, they always put us in the back, or we had a special table, or went to another restaurant.
When you were small and thinking about this, just how did it affect you in terms of, you know, knowing that you was a good player and all this, but still you had to eat in the back and take the back seat? How did this affect you?
At that time, it was more or less accepted by me as part of the way of life. I wasn't militant or as kids are today. I mean, it's just something that you knew, and you live with it.
And you live with it. You resented it?
No.
You didn't resent it?
Not to the point of doing anything about it.
Well, how did your parents take to that? Did you play ball, but yet you weren't accepted for who you really were?
They never discussed it. That is, to make an issue out of it.
Did they let you kind of work it out for yourself?
Let me work it out for myself. And I must say that I got along real well under those conditions.
Where were the blacks, I mean, were there any particular black schools, or where were they located, and did they have white teachers, black teachers?
There's no colored teachers. There wasn't any black schools at that time.
There wasn't any black schools?
No.
What about East and West Longfellow? Who attended those there?
When I was going to school, there wasn't any East Longfellow. Just old Longfellow.
Where did you go to elementary school?
Yes. Where did I go?
Yeah.
McKinley Junior High, and that's junior high. If you said elementary, that would be Longfellow.
That would be West Longfellow.
West Longfellow.
What kind of social life did they have then, and how do you see any difference now? I mean, did they have anywhere to go, say, in the early 40s? How did they relate, and what do they do today?
The social life was very limited at that time, and you didn't have access to the white places like the student center and places like that at that time when I was coming along.
Well, what did blacks do? How did they function? Were they had to function separately, and how soon before were they able to move off into integrated facilities? About what year was that?
Well, that's happened recently. I'd say within the last 5 to 8 years, probably.
5 to 8 years.
I would say, roughly speaking.
Back then, did you particularly want to integrate, or?
No, I didn't want to integrate particularly. I'd like to have been able to go, be free, or know that you could go into a place, but
knowing that you could have a choice, but you didn't have a choice.
you didn't have a choice. You knew that you were limited.
Did you ever try to change this limitation? Or, I mean, were any groups of blacks getting together trying to change the limitation?
No, not when I was a kid.
What about when you became a young man? Were there any organizations or movements? Did you ever belong to any NAACP?
I did belong to the double NAACP, but I was a man. I wasn't a kid at that time. But it just, when I was going to high school, I never did think about it too much.
Never did think about organizing. What year did you get involved in NAACP, and what did you think they were doing? Do you think they were doing a good job, or how effective do you think they are now?
That was in, I would say about 58. And at that time, they wasn't doing anything positive, in my estimation. You know, not on the local level.
Not on the local level.
Yeah.
On a national level, he was involved in court,
Yes,
but on local
right.
level, didn't have any power here at all.
They didn't do anything.
They didn't do it. But how many people
Were in that at that time? I'd say 35, maybe.
About 35. This is right around 1958.
Yes. I think Mr. Knights was head of the NAACP at that time.
Mr. Who?
Knights.
Who was he?
Barber, across town.
Barbara Crosstown. Is
Yeah.
still in business?
Yes.
You have his full name?
No, I don't know his full name.
I don't know, it's just Mr. Knights.
Mhm.
Mr. Knight. Is that K-N-I-G-H-T?
That's right.
Okay. What about, I know of a Dr. Smith, a lot of people are mentioned to be one of the first Negro doctors. Did you know him? And
I knew Dr. Smith, but he wasn't the first Negro doctor in Muncie.
he was one of the first.
He was one of the Negro doctors. Well, Dr. Braden had been here for years.
Dr. Braden?
And then Dr. McMorris Reynolds was the doctor here, and left here and went to Cleveland. They had a clinic up there.
Around what year was this? Seemed like they had more black doctors then they do now, don't they?
Let's see. Well, that had to be in 30.
Around
In the 30s, or maybe earlier. I was probably before I started school, high school.
You got any idea why there were more doctors then than there is now? Is it because Muncie
Well,
kind
there's more
of slowing
opportunity.
changing?
Well, I don't know why it would be, but colored people patronized the colored doctor at that time. I mean, if they had a colored doctor, colored people went to him, although it's a small amount of people, population. Then we had one dentist, it was Dr. Brooks.
One dentist, Dr.
Yeah.
Brooks. What about any policemen, early policemen or lawyers? You remember any of them?
Never had been any lawyers here that I know of, but Ray Armstrong was the first colored policeman that I can remember.
Is he still here?
No, he died.
He died. You recall any incidents of the Klan, or they have any meetings? I talked to one lady and she said she remembered something happened in McCullough Park. Do you remember any of that?
No,
Where the
I
Klan
don't
was
remember that.
all around.
I can remember them coming by the house, in automobiles, but I don't remember any incident.
About what year was this, and what did
Well, I
they
was
do?
very small. They were on their way to a meeting, and they just, a whole line of cars passed by the house. I would say I was 7 or 8 years
About
old.
7, 8 years old. This is about, what, 19 what?
Let's see. Had to do a little arithmetic on that one.
So if he's born when 1916,
16. That'd be
1925.
25.
1925, they was active around here.
They were real active.
Real active around here. And when did they start going down, if so?
Well, I would say they haven't been active. The last incident I can remember where the Klan was involved was when they had the lynching up in Marion.
Up in Marion, I've heard about that.
Yeah. The Klan was involved in that.
The Muncie Klan was involved in that. What did they do? Hang somebody?
Hang 2 colored boys, or 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was a Muncie boy.
Mm-hmm. Well, for what reason did they give for hanging them? Or what was the so-called crime?
Well, integration with the white woman.
The white woman. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And around what year was that?
That must have been, I was married first time, must have been, I was 21 years old. Now we'll have to figure it up from there.
Okay.
It'd be in 38.
1938.
37 or 38.
Around in there.
Mm-hmm.
How did the blacks, in Muncie and Marion, Muncie in general, how did they take to that? Were they resentment, excited? And
Yes, that created quite a bit of excitement because they brought one of the bodies here, and Reverend Johnson had the body up there.
Mm-hmm. Reverend Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, what church was he in?
He was Schaefer.
Schaefer Chapel. Schaefer Chapel. Reverend Johnson.
And they were supposed to come and get the body that night, and Muncie boys got together pretty good on that.
Mm-hmm.
And with shotguns, one thing and another, to keep them from getting the body, but they never did show.
Mm-hmm.
Was
there any violence? I mean,
never got to that point.
So they brought the boy back home to keep the Klan from getting the body after they got it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And there was no organization after that to try to do anything after.
Not that I know
of. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you recall what, in general, did most blacks think about whites then? Did they consider themselves inferior, or did they just consider themselves limited in what they could do?
I rather believe that they thought they were limited more so than being inferior.
More so than being inferior.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And got any reasons why?
Any reason why? Well, I think they mostly tried to get along more than try to create a situation and a rebellious or violence. They would just accept what they had to do and never said nothing. In other words, you might say, in modern terms, Uncle Tom is what you would say it, wouldn't you?
But that way they had to survive to get over.
The way to survive by trying to get along with it.
Trying to get along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then, in your opinion, you think your goodness and faith in white people, that they really lived up to all that you expected them to be by showing them that you could, forgive them for what some of their parents or foreparents done to you? You think they really appreciate that to the fullest?
No, I don't think they recognize it.
You don't think they recognize it?
Well, they are beginning to become aware of it now, but when I was younger, I don't think they were aware of the situation as it was, because they felt you as an inferior.
Blacks today often hear like that, things would be all right if you had done something, but I know my mother, she often say that, she had to bring us up in a way to preserve us, so to say, but if you had something to do different in terms of conditions, what would you probably do? Is that too hard of a question? I mean, how would you change that?
If I was a younger man and had to go through what I had.
What you think you had to go through?
Yeah, I would be pretty rebellious, I believe. But I think I had a chance probably to do something, but I didn't take advantage of, through my white friends. But, it never entered my mind to organize nothing or make an issue out of unfair treatment or nothing like that. In other words, I was more or less satisfied.
Yeah. Did you sort of, in a way, sit back in a way and say, well, this thing will be worked out, or somebody else will have to do it, and if they grant us our freedom, we will have it, rather than working to organize it? It seems like today.
Yes, I think that might sum it up, that I was just waiting on someone else.
Waiting on somebody else to do it. And finally come to think of it, just like you, Muncie Parents Teachers Organization, president of it, knowing that if somebody going to do something for blacks, it has to be blacks. Is that the case? Okay. Let's see. Can you recall any prominent Negro black families, and did they try to help blacks? You know, we hear the stereotype that a lot of times what's holding blacks down, other blacks won't help them once they get to the top.
Yeah.
Do you recall any families?
It'd only be one that I can recall, and he's still here. Pettiford
Pettiford?
was a prominent businessman with money.
What kind of business did he have?
He was in the rug cleaning business.
Rug cleaning. You got his first name?
No, I don't, but you can look that up in the phone book.
Pettiford, a rug cleaning business. Okay.
Yes. And he was in a position to help somebody, but I don't think he did.
Well, is it, a lot of times, you know, they think they've had a hard time to make it, they want to preserve what
That's
they
right.
got, and say, well, you get yours, I got mine.
I think he said that.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. We're trying to get away from that a little bit.
Yeah.
What about black newspapers, or any reporters, any people writing? Or
There's only one newspaper that I can remember that'd be colored, and that would be one that by Reverend Adams, but I don't know the name of it.
you don't know the name of it.
It was more or less of a scandal sheet, more or less.
Right, what year was that?
Well, now, let's see. I would say that was in the 50s.
About
Maybe.
50s?
Yeah.
And what was his name again?
Reverend Adams.
Reverend Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he at now?
Well,
Out of town because of the
he's
scandal.
out of town. But he's got a son, B.F. Adams, lives. That's his first name, B.F.
B.F.
Adams.
Adams, huh?
You know him?
Seems like I sent some letters out to the church trying to, you know, we have night school programs here, and I don't know if his name came up or not, but that might be.
B.F. Adams lives over on Hines in Macedonia, and that's his son. I don't know where the old man's at. I think he's in Detroit. It's the first colored newspaper I remember.
B.F. Adams. Who was first elected official? You know anybody who was, we know that Reverend J.C. ran, but anybody elected in Muncie? Did they have any support from blacks?
There's never been any political leaders that I know of higher than a precinct committeeman.
Precinct committeeman.
Mm-hmm.
See, Arthur Burnham, he ran. Did he win or lose?
He lost.
He
He's
lost.
on the city council.
City council.
Mm-hmm.
See, Goodall, he's what?
He's on the school board.
School board.
Yeah.
What's his first name? Fred?
Hurley Goodall.
Hurley Goodall, that's right. I keep going to call him Fred, that's his boy's name. Let's see.
Willie Folks run for precinct committeeman across town. He was elected.
With the black vote, you consider it electing these people, or is that lack of it just not getting them elected?
I would say the lack of them would probably contribute more to not getting them elected than for them to participate in voting.
You know, in the past, did blacks vote, or did they just see something, well, it doesn't matter who it is, we still don't get the wrong end of the deal?
I think that voting was a big thing with most colored people. Kind of a holiday, more or less, for years. And most of them would probably, for a while, would vote Republican, then they got to be Democratic.
Because, was that one of the things, because of Lincoln, they was still holding on to that he freedom?
I would say that was part of it. They was played upon that for years, you know.
Did your parents tend to vote that way and then you changed?
My father was kind of a belligerent sort of guy. He voted for the man more or less than he would for the party.
Yeah, we learning that. Let's see. What white people in Muncie do you consider to be influential that could help change, or are there any influential white people who really are on the side of blacks that you know of who would try to give them a fair break? Factories, positions, you know.
Well, I would say our present plant manager at Delco Battery would give a guy a break, but then he would be limited by company policy. But our guy who would retire from there, Casey Stanley, I think would give anybody a break on you know, to his ability. I don't think he has any racial prejudice. He was a real nice guy.
What about family? Everybody know in Muncie, the Balls and what is it?
Kissman's?
Yeah, Kesselman's. And How do they react? Are these the power type people, power pulling the shots? What's been the, have you had any run-ins or know any friends with run-ins with them about some kind of political or economic issue that they control, they didn't want to help out?
Not that I know
Not that you know of. Has blacks been served on juries, and do they get a fair break with the law?
I don't know of any colored jurymen, and personally. I don't say that there haven't been any, but I don't know of any.
Do you think they get a fair trial in the past and now?
Well, I think they do now, but in the past I don't think they did.
Can you think of any specific cases where you had doubts in your mind about the justice in Muncie?
Not to name names, no.
Not any cases.
No.
Let's see.
But I know of cases similar, it would be a white and colored, where a colored man get a higher or stiffer sentence than a white man for the same offense. Of course, they always say the conditions are different on any offense, but, you know, circumstantial evidence is what you go on.
What issues do you consider to be real important where blacks find themselves unified on, if there are any central issues they're unified on in the past or now? One would be they want the freedom, of course, but when do they come together? Are they crisis orientated? Something happens, they get together and then soon forget? Is that their nature?
Right.
Is that their nature?
I don't think he's organized to the point where he can carry through on any given issue. Where settlements involved, he'd react. But to organize and stick with it, I don't think we reached that point yet.
Why is it we haven't been able to organize in Muncie? There's a lot of other places too, of course.
Well, mostly to be able to survive on a personal basis, I think, is one reason, because he's more or less, if I'm not going to do anything for you, I have to work, or if he's in a position to help you, you get yours the way I got mine. And there's a lot of thoughts like that goes on.
Lost a job too, not having any basis or base to back it up, to economic basis, a reason too.
That's right. Well, at the present time, I'd say most people in Muncie have factory jobs, which pay pretty good, and they still won't help each other. You know, they.
What about we've been taught to hate ourselves? You think this to enter in trust? Do we trust each other enough to organize? That's basically an organization.
I think that's to sum it up. We have a distrust of each other.
Distrust of each other.
To a point.
Do you know any way? It would be this is our question. How to build some of that trust? Is there any way possible? It seems like we so diffused and so disorganized in so many ways. Is there any way to bring us together?
The only way that I would know, even religion don't bring us together, because they have a lot of petty jealousies, and that used to be a strong point for colored people, religion. And you have more bickering and dissatisfactions in church than you do in any organization I know of.
In some of the white churches, you have a central organization where they make the decisions, you know, on a central basis. On the blacks, I know it's around here they got more churches than filling stations.
Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons?
Well, that could be.
They're competing?
Competing, yes. They are not going to get together for any given cause, I don't believe.
Because each preacher want to be his own.
And there's guys come to that, Reverend J.C. Williams, I believe,
trying to organize them.
Trying to organize something.
And what they said, he was being uppity or something, that he wanted to be so-called leader.
Well, yes. Now that's the label that they would put on anybody that would be a leader.
Try to organize.
Yeah.
Yet they're able to say that we're changing with the times and we're changing with the youth, but still they can't get together and organize. Like we talked to a preacher, our church is changing with the youth so we can keep our members because it's going down.
Yeah.
But yet they can't organize on something that they know is basic to really helping their condition.
I would think that. They can't do it because they, what would say, diehards in their way of thinking.
In their way of thinking.
I
think this is one reason we're able to have black funeral homes and black churches. This is one reason why the white man gave us so many churches, to deal with knowing that the more you have, the more competition, lack of trust.
Yeah, it could. Well, now I don't know whether that would be a prime reason for him to do so, but it does create that problem. Descent among colored people. They just won't get together on a given cause and stick with it. Unless something violent happens, then it's
then they're together for a little while, crisis orientated. What do you see in the future if blacks come together, not and organize and look at future goals rather than being present orientated to wanting something today and not thinking about tomorrow?
Well, I think they will become conscious of it more so than you are now. I think so, yeah. It'd be the younger generation that does it.
If it's so hard for us to get thinking people like ministers together to just think about the average person who want to get together in church, you know, that's what makes it so difficult. It seems like we can come together on those issues. It's so hard.
Well, I think mostly the colored people, I would say myself, well, my prime minister would be to try to survive, you know. And so therefore you build up a kind of a shell or something around you, and you won't, there's no organization other than your family or something like that. In other words, you kind of, everybody's for yourself.
Everybody's for itself.
But I think it's because he has to survive. You know, daily bread.
He has to survive in a system set up where for him to compete, he's already, you know,
that's right. He's got to look out for himself first. Then his fellow man second.
And then that organization is going to cause some kind of breakup in the security he has.
Right. And even to the point of jealousy. Because if one family gets a little more material things than another, there creates a jealousy. And it's, you might have heard it, you know. Someone tries to be more than somebody else because he's got a car or a nice home or something. And you hear that all the time in conversation. I don't think it's, would cover everybody, but I know in certain instances that has happened. If someone carries himself even different in a moral way, well, someone might say that, you know.
That's a good point. Now, what do you tell your kids, and how to, you know, your parents didn't tell you anything, you sort of just worked it out on your own, and kind of stumbled through some life experiences, and what do you tell your kids? Where do they go from here?
Well, as far as the racial, I say they haven't got any racial problem.
You say they haven't got any racial problem?
No. They could be whatever they want to be. They have opportunity, which we didn't have when I was going to school. Now, he might have some difficulties, but he's still got opportunity. And with his loans and things to go to college, grants, scholarships, whereas we didn't have that when I graduated from high school. Only thing that was open to us was athletic scholarships. None at all for girls that I know of.
If you want to see something change in Muncie, what would you want to change, or what do you think is a sore spot that could happen?
To change the racial situation?
The racial situation. Maybe you were lucky and you had a job that some others couldn't have and have opportunity. And it might be something here, you know. We know there's problems in this city, it's in every city, but people don't accept people who they are.
Well, I don't think there's anything that a person can do to change. I think it'd be an attitude of the public or society, that includes white and colored, to accept things for what they are. And I think that's the only way you have an effective change, because you can't force anybody to accept something that's against his principle or something that he's believing.
That's a good point. Did blacks back then get bused anywhere, or like they talk about the busing issue today when you were in school, or any kids like around 1960 and places like that?
No.
They didn't get bused?
No. Come on up.
Okay, let's see. How did you consider your education? Would you think it was superior, average, or kind of school you had?
We had good school, but as far as myself, I didn't apply all my ability when I was going to school. I got average grades. In other words, I was lazy. More or less.
See, I don't have too many more questions here. If you don't have anything else to add, I guess we can play this back and let you hear it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
The last question on before you turn back, what
What did the last question say?
Oh, you already asked.
You already asked you that.